Hello everybody, Attack Power here with another Steel Division 2 video here, deck building with 16th Panzer. So this division is definitely a very niche Axis division. It is primarily, I would almost say 100% designed for 10v10s or multiplayers, generally larger multiplayers. It has some pretty, even just looking at the slots here, you can see it's missing a lot of stuff. It's got a lot of limitations. It's got a lot of a singular unit that every 10v10 bro loves, and that's the Königstiger. Outside of that, I mean, essentially the division is built around calling those in and supporting those the best way you can. So let's dive into this deck. It's for 1v1 play, it's Maverick, or it's really just Maverick. Even Vanguard's not super great here. You're basically playing Maverick, and you got to use that B-phase income to call in some of your super heavy King Tigers and hope that those can bully out the area. Really, this division is only playable on Slutsk, Slutsk West specifically. Slutsk a little bit, Ostrono perhaps a little bit in there as well. Outside of that, though, this division is going to struggle on essentially every map. It doesn't do a lot of really powerful things, outside of that 2K stuff. So let's dive in here. Recon tab, we do have some great options here with the Aufkladde coming in the SPW 222. Always nice to have these. It's a great unit with the Recon. Solid Recon, great autocar unit here in the SPW 222, which is essentially a Horsch, right? I'm pretty sure this is the same as a Horsch. Could be wrong, but I think they're the same. SPW 233 here, of course, once again for the opener snipes. Now, I did have some comments, I think last video or video before that, about why am I vetting the SPW 233? This is actually a suggestion I took from Koenig forever and a day ago. So the curve is 642, and yes, I love the SPW 233. It is a very powerful unit, very good. Does a lot of stuff, usually trades up. It's a great weapon. The thing is, am I realistically going to call in 6 of these? Probably not. Their effectiveness does decrease as the game goes on, right? As the opponent has more AT, as they have more regular medium tanks and things on the map, this becomes rapidly less effective than it is at the beginning when you can catch out transports and, do the light support thing and get to the front line early. So there's not a lot of situations where I'm going to need to call 6 of these, and that's also 240 points. And, the extra veterancy does help this unit a lot. It increases its rate of fire by 2, which is not a small amount. It gives you that extra accuracy, 5% on the AP shell, 3% here on the heat and HE shell. These are not small, insignificant numbers. So that's the reason I vet this. I just don't see a lot of situations where I need to, or honestly even should be calling in 6 of these. Because, again, their effectiveness is limited to the first 5 minutes of the game. And from there, yes, you may catch moments where they're still great. But, overall, their overall effectiveness will generally be lower from that point on. B-phase, the SPW 231, of course, bringing our autocannon count to a nice 12 and giving us A and B phase of those. Things we're not taking per usual, the BMW, more Aufkladde, although you could take more SPW 222. So this would be an option like B phase if you wanted. Instead of the SPW 231, you could bring the Aufkladde in the SPW 222. You could even unvet it, have the same number. Actually, now that I'm saying it, that kind of sounds nice. Sounds a little nice. Let's really quick check these stats. They are very similar. Obviously, the SPW 222 is a little bit weaker overall, right? You have lower speed, you have lower armor. The actual gun itself, the SPW 222 is actually better. It's actually a better gun now that I'm looking at it. Interesting. I never knew that. Never picked up on that before. So I would definitely, switch this out. Get more Aufkladde in the SPW 222s here. Because that's just better. And now you get more recon. So you just Aufkladde everywhere. You should never not know what's going on with all of these in here. And yeah, so now that we unlocked that little secret I did not realize. Sped Troop, garbage. Do they come in anything good? Nope. SPW 231, still great. There's nothing wrong with his unit at all. Just upon comparison, we discovered the 222 is actually a bit better. We care more about the gun. It's going to die to the same stuff. The extra 5 millimeters of armor is not changing when this unit dies. Maybe in an autocannon standoff, like when 2 autocannon units are fighting each other, maybe it'll matter there. But outside of that, very rarely will that matter. And finally, the Panzer 4J. You just don't need more tanks. And the slots here in the Recon tab are quite a bit more expensive than the Tank tab. Infantry tab. There is actually nothing unique here. Nothing at all. I guess, okay, for argument's sake, there's a Panzergren MG34. I wouldn't call that particularly, special. I might even consider doing this and switching and putting the MG34 guy in C phase just for the numbers, for the sake of numbers here. Like that. Kind of like that, actually. You get less infantry in A phase, but we're going to be primarily focusing on support and tanks in A phase instead of infantry. So A phase, Sturm Pioneer, regular Panzergren, Panzerfaust. We are not bringing any of them. Oh, wait, B phase, we're bringing the SDKFZs. Okay. B phase, Pioneer, Panzergren in the SDKFZ. And finally, C phase, we now have the Panzergren MG34 for a grand total of 58 infantry. Not a ton, but it is Maverick, and a lot of our points are being funneled into way heavier units than these guys. So that's why we don't need a ton. We do get the veterancy across the board here, so they should be relatively effective. I'd love to get a Pioneer Fear in here. Of course, there's absolutely no room. Does it come with... Oh, wow, yeah. We have the SDKs at 251/7. That's actually it. Looked like there were more options than that. Again, not great. The SDKFZ 250/10 is better with the little 37 mil on it. The Panzerbücher, I actually don't hate this. A lot of people, I mean, most think this gun is totally trash. And I don't think it's totally trash anymore. I actually think at 5 points, you know, it takes out half tracks pretty fast, pretty efficiently because it fires really fast. The APCR does actually cause crits relatively often, which is nice. So yeah, I do like honestly any half track you can get for 5 points with a gun on it. Like that's not a machine gun, but like an actual gun is pretty good. It's 5 points, you know, like, and if it kills anything, it's traded equal or better. So, you know, I'd honestly, if I could bring the Pioneer Fear, I would bring it with this, but I can't, so I won't. So yeah, there's not much to say here about the infantry tab. The tank tab, the whole reason to take the division. You get an astounding and rather unnecessary 6 cards of Königstigers. 6 cards of King Tigers. You could conceptually bring 12 King Tigers. Wherever you would need that. Not even a 10v10 game, does that sound logical or feasible at all? I mean, I guess if I was a 10v10er, what you would do is take like 3 cards of these in B and like 1 in A, and then you have 4 King Tigers, which I guess if you ain't doing the job with that, then you're not doing the job. These are also the Königstiger H, which is the heavy variant, which is the biggest, essentially the biggest tank in the game. By a fair margin, actually? I don't think there's anything even close to this. I'm trying to think. There's the, what's the elephant, but it's not as big as this thing. 290. The most expensive unit in the game as well. 200 millimeters of front armor. Everything else about it. Here's my issue with the King Tiger. Like specifically. This isn't even like let's even skip the general problems with heavy tanks. Super heavily costed, easy to kill with artillery and planes, easily smoked off, easily avoided, a giant point sink that rarely pays off. All this actually ever does is kind of control ground, and why obviously you want to do that in the game. It doesn't like kill stuff, which is the problem, which means you just spend 290 points to do maybe hold a flag, which is most of the time not a good trade-off. But that's not even, I'm not even talking about that. Those are just heavy tank problems. Super heavy, I should say. Super heavy tank problems in a general sense. That falls into IS-2s and elephants and everything over 200 points, basically. The problem with the Königstiger specifically is it still takes 2 freaking shots to kill stuff. It still takes 2 shots from the biggest gun in the game to get a kill, which makes this worse than the IS-2. The IS-2 is just better. Like it is. If I had to pick one of these, I would spend 90 points less to have a gun that instantly kills things when it actually lands a hit. This is so painful because everybody knows you can't kill the King Tiger with ground units. So even if you finally catch something out with this unit, the opponent is retreating. They're never going to just like actually sit there and duel your King Tiger. It's just not going to happen. Or anyone who knows what they're doing, unless they're not paying attention or they're new. Nobody's actually fighting this thing. Everybody knows they're not going to lose because you can't kill this with basically anything. The only thing really on the ground that's going to like straight up fight this thing somewhat effectively, maybe sometimes, is the Pak-43, the Pak-43 Krupp, and whatever that 88 that has a lot of penetration. I think there's that Russian AT gun in Group Ferdinand or whatever it is. Not Ferdinand. Fedunka. Group Fedunka. The BA something or other. That's basically it. Like, if we're being real with ourselves, those are the only things on the ground that are realistically destroying this thing at any point in the game. Now, you might say, Attack Bar, what about the Jagdpanther and the Elephant? They've got the big gun, too. Yeah, the problem is it's this gun, which is the same gun for all of these super heavy German things, doesn't actually pen the Tiger at 2K range very often at all. It's like 30% pen chance. That's not good, especially when this thing's shooting back with the same gun. Okay, and the Ferdinand and the especially the Jagdpanther have less armor and are going to get penned way more consistently by the King Tiger than that. So, like, no one's actually fighting this thing on the ground ever. So when you actually get into combat and this thing manages to shoot a shot, if it lands, it's not even killing the target, which is so freaking frustrating. It's so stupid. I really think Eugen should apply to this unit specific, the King Tiger only, a special one-hit kill. Even though the gun's the same, I personally think if you are spending nearly 300 points for a unit, it should instantly kill stuff. I just think that's reasonable. I really do. I think that's just reasonable to do. Now, 10v10, the King Tiger's already OP. It's supposed to be. It is 300 friggin' points. It should be OP. It should be absurdly OP. It should be like a nuke in the middle of the map. But it's not. It's terrible. Okay. King Tiger rant over. We have one in A and one in B. I'm moving on. Okay, this is already excessive. I can't imagine using any more than that ever. A phase Panzer 4H, Stug 3G, both double vetted. That's a ton of medium tanks. And then a leader Tiger because I like it. Okay, the Tiger's not that good, I know, but I like it. I love the Tiger. It's so iconic. Like, it's just so iconically cool. Okay, but my God, do they do this tank dirty in this game? They do all the Tigers dirty. Okay, all the Tigers are poo. It's kind of sad, honestly. Stug 3G and another Tiger E in B phase. Yeah, I mean, you don't really have any of the medium tank cards. You could take this Stug 3 instead. Leader. Maybe that's better. I don't care. I want the Tiger. Now I'm kicking around. No. The Tiger's fine. Tiger's fine. Let's be real. Most of the time, I'm not actually calling this King Tiger in. What this tank tab really is Panzer IV, Stug 3s, and Tigers. That's what it really is. The King Tiger's there for lulz. There's so few games where this actually makes sense to ever call in. If you're playing in League and you're like picking divisions and you're on Slits West, fine. That is like one of the only situations ever where this division becomes like a viable, probably should ban it. Because a King Tiger on Slits West is an absolute brick wall. For newer players, if you run into one of these, don't try to kill it with normal stuff. Don't try to shoot it. Just get your mortar or get your arty and just keep artying this thing till it dies. Or drop some bombs on it. If your opponent's bad and they just called this in, just go fly a cluster bomber over it and like literally ruin their entire day. Like it's kind of a lull fest. But really what you just do is you just wear this down with... You just slowly wear this down with arty over time and it dies. And that's 290 points pissed away for nothing. Option 2 is you try to find a flank on it, which is very realistic. It's only 90 millimeters of front side armor, so, you know, tons of things can pen this on the side. So you just got to get it there. Support tab. It's good. This is a good support tab. Now, the issue is there's no Flammenwerfer, which definitely sucks. Does not help your ailing infantry tab over there. We're taking 2 cards of MG42s because we don't have a ton of infantry. So MG42 twice, A and B, double vet and B because I don't really need 8 MG42s and Bs. Double vet, very effective. MG42s are slapped pretty hard at double veterancy. The Grilla, of course, you bring it 2K HE. You want to support that Tiger because on top of everything else, the Tiger's not very good at killing soft targets. It's not that good at killing anything, actually. Weirdly. And finally, the Opel Blitz munition. You definitely want this. You got a lot of arty and stuff coming in. We're not taking any commanders. I spoke last time about why not taking commanders in Maverick, and I kind of glossed over it, but I do think I should expand on that a little bit. Maverick's looking to win fast. Okay. Yes, extra veterancy is always helpful, but spending 100 or 120 points on a unit that is not directly pushing the front line or implying pressure to your opponent is generally not the best plan. Okay, yes, it will help you get more value out of your units, but the thing is the commander also only affects one part of the map. What makes Maverick so overwhelming is in B phase, you can make big pushes in multiple parts of the map, which means the commander's not even going to affect some of those pushes, making it even less effective, which is why I don't bring commanders usually in aggressive decks because there's just not enough time to accrue the value you need to get out of the commander to make it worth it. Balanced decks, you know, they are obviously looking to play long, and the longer commander spends time out, the more value you accrue from it. So if you're trying to get the game to be over before 30 minutes, there's not a lot of situations where it makes sense to be spending your limited points, because your points are limited, on a commander. It makes way more sense in a balanced game when you expect the game to go, a half hour, all the way to 50 or 60 minutes. That commander can accrue a ton of value and help you really win out in the long game. So that is why I don't take commanders in Maverick. Anti-tank. There's nothing here. This is an awful anti-tank tab. Panzer Trek, Pack 40. We're not taking the Stug 3F8. I love this thing. This is very good. Would take it if there was room. I do think having some sort of static AT is pretty important, and having Panzer Treks is also pretty important, generally speaking. So I just can't take those over this Stug 3F8, which is just a cheaper Stug, essentially. But we have plenty of those anyway, so whatever. Anti-air tab. Super limited. But what you got is good. You have Mobile Wagon. Mobile Wagons are phenomenal. It's a Flak 43, which is significantly better than a Flak 36. The difference is simply fire rate. This fires significantly faster than a Flak 36 does. The Flak 43 is therefore much better than a Flak 36. Excuse me. Need that drink. Lots of talking. So, yeah. And then STKZ 7-1 in B phase. I have it set up this way because Maverick, I have more points in B phase to call in more expensive AA. I have less points in A phase to call in less expensive AA. ... obviously. 20 mils, trash. But they do come with the flak, with the little flak truck, which is always nice. If I had to take 20 mils, this would be the way I would want to take it. Arty tab. This is actually a great artillery tab. Also kind of helps. It's what makes this division actually good on Slutsk when you're playing other heavy tank divisions. Like, essentially, the only thing this is good for in 1v1 is tournament settings when you know your opponent's playing a heavy tank division and you want to out heavy tank them. This is the division to pick. Why? Because we have the 81 mortar, always great. Battery Fio, we are going to take this here. We need some amount of leadership, but we didn't really bring it much in the tank tab, so we're going to bring it here. And then we have the Nebelwerfer 150 mil, the Nebelwerfer 41. You know I really like these. They're just very effective and can accrue a lot of value if you are good at microing them. If you watch my Legion live, I was a big dodo head and didn't move my Nebels, and they died, and I'm an idiot for it. Okay, but if you are smart and you move them, then they're phenomenal. And then we have the Nebelwerfer 300 mil, and this is your heavy tank killer. This will pretty consistently knock out opposing IS-2s and King Tigers and Elephants and Panthers. All that stuff is very, very susceptible to being killed with something like this. And this is what you should do if you are playing against King Tigers, okay? You need to find a division with some heavy rocket artillery, preferably. Rocket artillery is best, but Nebelwerfer 41s will work. It's going to probably take 2 Nebelwerfers and 2 salvos, most likely. This usually takes 2. Just 2 on its own. Sometimes you get super duper duper lucky and you get 1, but not usually. But yeah, so Nebelwerfer is very strong here, and they really let you kind of tip the scale of, my heavy tank versus your heavy tank sort of thing. Well, we're not taking the Beobachter. We don't really need radio all that much. The mortar's nice, to have it there, but, we do have some Tiger Fears, and otherwise, we're not relying on this, and obviously the rocket artillery does not benefit from radio at all. Would never take an 81 mortar over a half-track mortar. The Vespa is still terrible. Unless you have to take this, you generally don't. 120, same argument. Half-track mortar, just better with radio, obviously. And the Hummel, I don't hate this unit anymore. It did get several buffs, so it's like actually equivalent to the static version of this. Biggest issue with it is it just doesn't come with a lot of ammo, which is obviously a problem, and it doesn't have a ton of availability, which isn't great either. But if you're in the market for mobile artillery, this is no longer an absolute trash option. Air tab. Actually pretty phenomenal. This has essentially everything you want in an air tab. It's not really missing anything in particular. We're taking the Geo 145B. This is actually a great little annoying recon unit because it does come with some bombs, and they're 2 little napalm bombs. Will they do a lot? No. But will they force infantry out of a building or something? Yes. And that is nice. That is very, very nice. Sometimes they might kill a AT gun, like a low health AT gun, because it doesn't move fast enough. The napalm bombs kill it. That's very rare, though. Focke-Wulf 190 F8, great fighter bomber, medium resilience, 530 kilometers an hour, 8 50-kilogram bombs. We're actually taking this over the 250 kilogram with the 4 bombs here because this actually just does more damage at the end of the day, right? 12, 21, 8, 4, 24. Yep, this does more damage. For 5 points more, I think this is a little bit more consistent of a kill, even though this is pretty darn consistent. Although, for argument's sake, oh, no, wait. Now I remember the problem. Yes, now I remember. This is a G3R5. It's bad resilience. Nope, don't take this. The argument would be that you can turn off this bomb and bomb with like each one separately, which is really nice. And the camo on this is pretty cool. But definitely not worth losing the resilience. Okay, I was trying to remember why I wouldn't take this 110 one, because bad resilience is bad. So yes, Focke-Wulf 190 F8. We have one in A, and we have one in B. Just 2 cards of them. They do the work. They do the work, guys. Focke-Wulf F8, 190 A8 fighter. I do want some fighter here. This also actually does ground attack pretty well, so that's why I'm going to take it. Things we're not taking. JU-87. I wouldn't mind taking this. Problem is, you only get 2 availability with this bomb loadout, which does kind of suck. But I could totally see me slotting out the GO-145 for some JU-87s. Could see that. The Focke-Wulf F8 with just the 4 bombs. Now, this is starting to get a little weak. Yeah, it will still generally kill stuff, but the consistency drops pretty significantly here. So that, and also the availability is actually the same, which does suck. Like, why would I just pay 5 points more for a better, like way better bomb loadout? The Focke-Wulf 190 G3R5, we just talked about why. I wish I could put this camo on the F8 because it's way cooler. But yeah, the bad resilience is pretty bad. It's pretty darn bad. More Focke-Wulf F8s. We already have 2 cards. We don't need more than that. HE-111. It's not a bad bomber. This is a pretty good bomber overall. The Focke-Wulf 190 is just more consistent at killing things because, of course, it doesn't have the spread and all the other stuff. So that's why I'm not taking this. Also, the availability here is pretty bad. 124. It's really not significant. It's not a super fast heavy bomber, so it can get caught pretty easily by fighters. And then the Focke-Wulf 190 F8 with the AT rockets. This is a good AT rocket plane. We just don't need it. It's once again a Panzer division with plenty of ways to kill tanks. This just does not feel like a priority to me. I would much prefer ways to kill soft targets, which are the much bigger issue here because you have to push through infantry and stuff. So the bombing is much more prioritized than the 18. So yeah, 16th Panzer. A super niche division, mostly for multiplayer and 10v10. Really not built for 1v1 outside of extremely niche and specified situations I talked about. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this, smash that like button, subscribe, check out the Patreon link down below or the YouTube membership. Thanks a bunch, everyone, for your support. Thank you to my Patreons. Thank you to my YouTube members. Your support does mean a lot. I hope you all have a fantastic day.